Hello, so welcome to another reading vlog. Every week I try to kind of think what's a common thread between the books that I'm reading, and I think this week it would be dark books. So firstly, I have started just The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. This is the third book in the First Law Trilogy, which is kind of like all these morally grey, I want to say unlikable characters, but actually I like a lot of them, and they're in the middle of this conflict between different empires, but also this conflict between kind of different magical factions, and all the while terrible things are happening to everyone. I really like it. So far, how far did I get to last night? Only to page 26. I was so tired last night. And every night, so I'm not sure how we're going to get through this. But anyway, so far we pretty much just got a chapter from Grimdark, who is a torturer, and in this he's basically trying to help out with rigging this election. And I just love Grimdark and the way he's so cynical and just having such a terrible time. It's kind of like he just hates his job, and that's super relatable. And then as well we got another chapter from the Northmen, who are trying to help out with this war type battle that's happening in the north. And that was pretty brutal actually, like some awful killings and just like violence and awful times, which is what this series is all about. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. It is quite long and it's already Saturday. And I was really planning to finish this by the end of the week, but that's not going to happen. So I guess this vlog will be going into next week. It's fine. So I'm going to read that. I'm excited about it because I've really enjoyed the first two books in the trilogy, and I also have from the library, wow, why can I not point at that? Here I have Birth Serve Cold, which is the next book in the First Law World or bigger series. I don't know anything about it because I've been avoiding the synopsis because I think it might spoil this one, but I don't know if it really will. But I need to read this so that I can return that to the library, or read that and then return that to the library. Anyway, still behind on reading, as always, but maybe I'll catch up at some point this month. The other thing that I'm reading is a Dark Academia audiobook, so I'm reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Really all I knew about this going into it is that it is a Dark Academia kind of classic. Doesn't have any magic in it, which makes me slightly worried I'm not going to like it, but actually I've already read the first 10% and I found it really readable. So it sets up right from the beginning that there is going to be this friend group and one of them is going to end up dead, possibly, probably murdered by the other people in the friend group. And then it's kind of gone back to this one particular student whose perspective we're getting. And he ends up going to this university where there's a lot of rich kids, but he is not rich himself. And he gets into this special ancient Greek course where there's only like 6 students and they're all kind of dedicated to this one teacher who seems very strange. And he's just kind of trying to find his place and kind of keep up appearances and pretend like he belongs in this world of richer children and not really admitting to his actual past. Like he's lying a lot already. But I'm finding it very readable. I kind of like him, even though, yeah, he's obviously not the most moral of characters, which very similar to this actually, although I don't think he's this bad. He's not a torturer or anything. But yeah, I thought this might be one that would be a candidate for DNFing, but so far I'm quite enjoying it, so hopefully that will continue. Hopefully as well the weather will start behaving. It's been like so awful lately, like great for rainbows because it keeps being like sunny and then rainy and then sunny and then rainy, but terrible for going out for runs, which is now where I do most of my audiobook reading. So like I need the weather to behave so I can go for lots of runs and get through that audiobook, and then I kind of need it to rain lots as well though, so that I can stay home and just read this. That's contradictory, but anyway, we'll see what happens.
Walking to the market, strolling hand in hand, exchanging letters when you're away. Don't need any effort when we are together. We always have fun throughout the day. I'll do anything to get your attention. When you say you love me, I seem to...
Hello, so it's been a couple of days since I updated this vlog, but I'm about to go for a run, so I thought I'd better update you before I get too far into these books, although I haven't read that much, to be honest. Firstly, let's talk about The Secret History. How far through am I? I think I'm about a third of the way through, and I think it's really just getting good. Like, in the beginning, it's kind of the setup, and then there is a bit where it's kind of just this guy trying to get involved in this friend group that's part of these ancient Greek classes that he's doing, and it just started to get a little bit boring, but then we got hints of, like, what's happening with this murder thing, like, just tiny hints, and I was a little bit disappointed in it, and then it went really weird. So we just kind of got a learning of some weird stuff that's going on. I don't know, though, whether any of it is real, because basically our main character often talks about lying, and he talks about it in quite a just in passing, like lying is normal, so like, can you trust anything he says? And then as well, all his friend group, like, they're not trustworthy, so is what they're telling him now even the truth? I don't know. And I almost felt like when they told us the thing that we just learned, that it seemed like a very straightforward way to get to the end now, but I've still got 2/3 to go, so there must be a lot more twists. And hopefully we won't fall into too much of the boringness again. So I guess with this, so there's a lot of characters that are very rich and pretentious, to be honest. I will say, like, this book often gets talked about as like an iconic book of dark academia, but even though it is based around these ancient Greek students, like, for me, there's not enough obsession about the learning. I think with the thing we've just learned, there is kind of an obsession with an academic type subject, but like, they don't really seem that interested in schooling, which is not what I expected. And mostly they're just kind of really classist. There's one character who's really homophobic, but it seems like maybe some of the other characters might be gay. I'm not sure about how that's all being dealt with. I think it's alright, but it's not always nice to read. And same with like these classist, elitist dickheads. Like, it's not always enjoyable to read about them being that way, even though like the way the story's dealing with it is okay. Anyway, I'm going to go for my run, and then I'm going to listen to more of that. As well, I have been reading The Last Argument of Kings. There's no "the" at the front. I just keep putting it there. So I'm about 150 pages through, and my copy is about 600 and something pages. Sometimes they trick you by putting like, yeah, see, again, there's like a sneak preview at the end. So it's actually 670 pages. So I don't know, almost a quarter of the way through. So this, I'm really loving this, but do I know where it's going? No. What did I write in my notes? Oh yeah, so I think the main character that I'm enjoying the most is Jezil. Like, there's just been influences on him from the last book kind of pushing him towards being a better person, because in the first book he was such a selfish little shit. So now you can see he's being influenced and manipulated towards being a better person, and I just feel like he's not going to do it. Like, I so want him to have some personal development and become a better person, but like, can he do it? I don't know. And it's just like kind of addictive to read, like just waiting to see if he can manage to live up to like what he could be. But because this is grimdark, I kind of don't expect that he will. Also, Glocter is still just being very the same after all the adventures that he's gone through. And again, like, there's something he did that was kind of good, and I feel like he's learning the lesson that it wasn't a good idea to do that good thing. So like, I guess the lessons in this book are so opposite from what you get in a lot of fantasy books. As well, though, there was a part in here where some characters had a bit of a reunion that I've been waiting for since the start of the first book. So that was really satisfying, although probably hasn't gone as well as some of the characters might have liked, or as I might have hoped. But I guess I always have like the best of hopes for the characters in these books, but also I feel like that's not what's going to happen. I would say, like, I think my only complaint about this is the woman, just because there are so many male characters in this book, and then there's only about 3 women, like 2 main ones, and then now this other one, maybe, and none of those women are very good. But I guess none of the characters are very good, but just because there's only like 3 women, it makes it seem like that's making a statement about women. But if there were more, then I don't think it would seem like that. But also, in this crappy world that they live in, it's kind of not a surprise that there's not many women around. So anyway, I'm going to try and continue this as well, and then let you know what else happens.
Lazy Sunday mornings, hiding under covers. I don't mind staying in with you. Play your favorite movie.
Hello, so apparently I am only updating this vlog just before I go for a run, because again, I wanted to tell you my thoughts before I get any further into the book. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through The Secret History. I forgot the name for a moment then. And to be honest, I'm a bit conflicted about it. It is fairly readable, but also it seems like it's spending a lot of time on things that maybe don't need as much time spent on it. So basically, the last third has kind of just been these college students trying to cover up a murder, but kind of badly. And of course, our main character, I still don't think he knows everything that's going on. Is he even telling us the truth? Probably not. But like that strange element that we got introduced in the first third, nothing more has really been done with that. And I kind of suspect it might be what's really going on, but mostly it's just kind of been boring. And I feel like I'm not getting a lot of the vibes that I like from dark academia books, like the strangeness or the obsessiveness or even the darkness. Like, sure, there's been a murder, but it's not that dark. So I don't know, like, it's going on a bit, but I am kind of enjoying it. But I really need the ending to like pull everything together for it to be satisfying. So I'll listen to it on my run and hopefully we'll find out how the ending goes. The other thing that I've been reading is this one, Last Argument of Kings. This I am absolutely loving. I just love all the characters so much, and like every time their situations just get worse and worse, things happen and you think, wow, that's a big mistake, it's not going to go very well for you. But it's just written with such humor as well. I think there was one scene where one of our characters snaps and I just laughed so much. It was so satisfying, but also I'm sure it's going to go badly for him. So I just love the characters and I love the writing style. I still don't know really whether the plot is going to come together. It feels kind of haphazard, a little bit like real life, but also like things do come together in a way that like fucks all the characters over. So, I mean, again, that's just like life, isn't it? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm still not that far through, admittedly. I'm about 232 pages. I mean, if I eyeball it, maybe a third? Anyway, this one I will also definitely continue and let you know my thoughts. Hello, so I have finished The Secret History and I have to tell you, the ending just kind of made the whole thing pointless. Like, what was the point of that? Is it just meant to be saying don't be pretentious because then your life might be bad? I don't know. I don't need a book to learn that. And also, like, the plot never really went anywhere. It kind of tried to reveal, like, things, but, like, did any of it matter? Not to me. And none of the characters' motivations really felt like they made sense. None of the characters even felt fully developed. There was even one part at the end where he tries to talk about this teacher they have as if he was like a great father figure, or like the main character had always seen him as a father figure. But the teacher's hardly in the story at all, so that didn't really make a lot of sense. And also, like, right, the last 10 minutes is basically just him going through and telling you where all the minor characters ended up. And like, I don't care about any of those minor characters. I didn't think I was supposed to because they didn't seem like they were important. So like, the plot wasn't there, the characters weren't there, there was kind of vibes, but like, for me they weren't the dark academia vibes that I like the weirdness and the obsessiveness and like the academicness of it all. Like, it kind of at the end was implying like they were amazing ancient Greek scholars now, but like, how? We never experienced any of that in the story. And the main character was just so nothing, and I don't get it. If that was my first foray into dark academia, I would have been like, oh, not for me, which I think that kind of dark academia is not, but fantasy dark academia? Maybe. Anyway, I will read some more of that kind of stuff. But the other thing I've been reading is Last Argument of Kings, and this, I'm still really loving it. Like, the characters are having like almost good luck, but I just know that it's all going to go badly. And even when it is going well for them, there's still like little things that are going wrong for them that's kind of like overwhelm the good things. So I think I'm about halfway through now, maybe a little bit more, maybe. There was a few chapters that were like long extended battle scenes, which are never my favorite. I do think they had a reason for being long and extended, but it did try my patience a little bit. I definitely prefer the other chapters, so I'm really enjoying Glocta and Artie. There was a chapter where they were together and their banter, I loved it. I almost ship it, maybe. Do I? Maybe I do. Because Glock is pretty miserable at the moment. I'd kind of just like him to be happy, but who would he even be if he was happy? Would he be the same person? Probably not. Anyway, I'm loving this. I still just think I love the characters and I love the terribleness of the whole thing. I still don't know if I feel like the plot in terms of like the bigger magical conflict is going to come together. It feels like the military conflict is starting to come together, which does have links into the magical conflict. But I think, I don't know, a lot of people talk about this trilogy not having a lot of plot, but it does. And I really would like to see it all come together at the end, but I also don't know how it could possibly come together in a satisfying way. So we'll have to see, I guess.
Dancing to your beat, wanted to blend in, no self-expression, 'cause I wanted you to see I'm not so different, fit in your system. So why do you tell me I'm wrong when I say the same things that you say?
And it's raining again. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. It's not too bad, but I'm so sick of the weather. Like every time I'm going to do something over the last like month or even 2 months, like it just rains. And like, I feel like I'm stuck inside doing nothing all the time because it just keeps raining. Ugh. Anyway, let me update you on my reading. That's why we're here. So I am only about 100 pages from the end now, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like finally the plot is clear, or at least like of all the things, that rain is getting heavier and heavier. Of all the things that are going on, I feel like I know what's important now, like what was just character building and what is actually important for the plot. I can see it coming together. And I'm really excited for this last 100 pages because I think it's going to be crazy. There's been some things already that have kind of happened of like things finally coming together that have been quite intense. So I'm really hoping that the ending of this is going to make the whole thing worth it. I really hope so. I'll definitely be finishing that. Hopefully today. I'm so behind on all my reading. I did decide I was planning to read Best Served Cold, which I have from the library, but honestly it's really overdue. And actually the live show for the Becca's Catch-Up Book Club for that book won't be for a couple of months, so I think I'm going to return it so I can stop getting emails from the library telling me that I'm naughty, and then just put another hold on it and get it at a more convenient time to read it, and that will help me catch up on the rest of my reading. So that's good, although if I love this, I might just want to go straight into Best Served Cold, but I got too many other things to read to do that anyway. The other thing that I have been doing, because I needed an audiobook, so the next book I had to read is Paris, the Memoir. You probably can't really see that. Anyway, Paris, the Memoir. So this is Paris Hilton's memoir. I think she's written other books before, and I don't really like celebrity culture, never really liked Paris Hilton, but I did watch that documentary thing that was, I think, during the pandemic, which is probably why I actually watched it, because I was bored. And I found that really interesting. And the theme kind of for this reading vlog is reading dark books, so dark academia and grimdark. This one, like celebrity culture, is really dark when you actually look at it. But also what I know about Paris Hilton's life, like there are some dark things in there, so I thought this would fit the theme. To be honest though, the very beginning just had me like cracking up because she's name dropping so hard, and it's very clear like what's important to her is her brand. Even I think I just listened to a part where she talked about how important it is for her to keep this brand that she's built up around being fun and having parties, and I forget what else she said, but how important it is for her to look after that brand. And I feel like that's kind of ruining this audiobook because she isn't really getting deep enough into certain things because she's trying to maintain this act of being like fun party girl, and fun party girl is not something I enjoy. She's name dropping so hard all these celebrities, and it's just kind of painful as well. Like it's very scattered. And she does begin with this bit about ADHD, which I thought was a good beginning, and it kind of explains why it's so scattered, but also like, you know, you can get an editor to fix that up later. So I don't know. I wish it was a little bit less scattered because it didn't make it quite hard to follow at the beginning. However, I am now 35% of the way through, and she's just gotten to the part where she's kind of been shipped off to this kind of like a boarding school, but it's like a a place for misbehaving children, and really, like, it's awful. The whole situation with what happened with these places, and I don't even know, like, are they still happening? Probably. Basically, rich parents get conned into putting these children into these schools thinking that it's going to help, stop these children being so out of control. But actually, they're basically abused and just treated awfully at these places and set up in a way where they can't tell their parents what's happening. So I am interested to get more details about everything that happened there. But I expect it is going to be quite dark. And I'm kind of looking forward to that because so far in the book, I feel like so much of it is just quite shallow and like focused on things that I don't care about. Whereas if she's actually talking about something that is important to her and she's going to try and be honest and vulnerable about it, then that's probably more interesting than the beginning where she's kind of like, there was one part where she tries to say like that she recognizes her privilege, but then just the way that she approaches so many other topics makes me think that she doesn't really get what her privilege has done for her, or like what non-privileged people's lives might be like. And I just think like the whole persona she's trying to put across is not something I enjoy. So I'm looking forward to the rest of it perhaps being a bit more genuine, but we will see whether that actually happens. And I guess I'll update you when I've made some more progress on it. Hello, so I have finished both my books. I wanted to update you. Please ignore though my big roots that have appeared. I have been covering them up with hair mascara the last week or so, and it's been working really well, but I've just washed my hair and I don't really want to put that gunk in it as well. Like, it's been over a month. I did my hair differently last time and I think it did last longer, but it has been over a month, and so I probably just need to actually find some time to do something about this. But we'll pretend it's fashion, shall we? I'm sure that's what Paris Hilton would do. Shall I talk about that first or this one? Let's talk about this one. This one. I loved the ending for this. It was so good. It brought together so many things that I really didn't think would come together in a satisfying way. And like, I guess it left each of our characters in a position that felt right. Not always like the best position, but like a position that felt right for the story. It did definitely still leave open so much for more story, and I tried to read the synopsis for the next story and I couldn't tell whether our characters from this were going to be in the next book or not. I think I heard someone say that it follows their like ancestors or like later generations, but like given the ending of this, like there's definitely room for more of these characters, and I would love to get more of these characters. I would definitely reread this at some point. I think knowing everything that happens overall would make it an interesting reread, but I love all the characters. And also like some of the stuff that happened at the end, I could see it being a movie or a TV or something. I think it could be really cool. And I think Best Served Cold has been announced as being made into a movie or a TV show. Obviously, I don't really know the details, but like, I think that would be cool, even though I haven't read that one yet. I hope they will make some of this into something visual, because I really think it could be cool. The only criticism I would probably have of this book is there are a lot of battle scenes, and they weren't terribly written, and they did fit into the plot and the character development, but still, there were a lot of battle scenes, and I don't find battle scenes especially interesting, so it got a little bit tedious in parts, but like, for everything else that happened, I think I can overlook that. And like, with the previous two books, the story kind of ended with these big battle scenes, whereas this, the battle kind of happened and then there was some more, so like, that was better. So, I really love this. Paris Hilton, the memoir though. Oh, my empty glasses are shot. That's not the most professional. Pretending like I'm a professional. Paris Hilton, the memoir. I think her fans will probably really like this book, but for me, just so many of the things that she thinks are important, I clearly don't think is important. And it was actually a surprise to me to learn that she's almost my age. She's like 42 at the moment. I'm 43. She was talking about like New Kids on the Block and Edward Furlong, and I was like, oh, taking me back to my teens. And that's when I began to suspect she's my age. But just there's so many things that she's really focused on that I feel like a lot of people, or most people who are in their 40s-ish, have kind of like stopped worrying about. And I really just think this, like the fact that she's trying to hold on to her brand so much through this, really let the book down. I think it held her back from being honest and vulnerable in parts. And she kind of addresses that, but kind of just says, well, that's not what I wanted to do, which is fine, but it's what I would have wanted from the book. So like, I did really enjoy this section kind of in the middle where she talks about this boarding school thing that she went to and how awful that was and her experience with that. That was very interesting and I think very illuminating for all of that. And it is really great that she has then continued to push for improvements in those areas. But then I guess she talks more about like her biggest years of being famous, like The Simple Life and her sex tapes and all of that stuff. And it was interesting just to like have some perspective of that world, but like, I don't know, I just kind of already know that I don't like that world. So when she would talk about the darker aspects, I'd be like, yes. And then when she would talk about the sides of it that she thinks are really cool, I'd be like, well, I doubt it. So I just think that Paris Hilton and me probably wouldn't get along, and that's fine. And there was also quite a big bit at the end about like her trying to have a baby and like IVF treatment, and it felt a little bit like she was looking for a lot of sympathy when, let's be clear, she's very rich and in a much better position than a lot of other people. So I feel very little sympathy for her. And also like, you know, I just don't really care about kids, so I'm not probably as sympathetic in that area as maybe as I could be. Anyway, there were some dark bits, so it still belongs in this blog, but it just wasn't the best. So like, this was definitely the best book I've read it in the vlog, then The Secret History, then Paris the Memoir. I think I got tricked by the documentary. I probably shouldn't have picked that memoir up. It got a bit boring towards the end. Thank goodness it was short, or I never would have made it. Anyway, let me know if you've read any of these books that I talked about in this blog, because I would love to talk with you about them down in the comments. Or let me know what else you've been reading that's exciting. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.